Welcome to Youth Camp Safety Standards. My name is Kimberly James, and I'm going to give you a brief overview of what Youth Camp Safety Standards is all about. Youth Camp Safety Standards are regulations developed by the state of Maryland to protect the health and safety of campers, staff, and volunteers in our summer programs. We must follow these rules and regulations concerning youth camps to stay compliant with state standards and to ensure we are offering the best camp experience possible. To conduct youth camps, we must structure our programs to follow COMAR regulations in order to acquire a youth camp certification. We must follow the laws on how to conduct our emergency plans, formulate trips and transportation, ensure supervision during routine activities, ensure safety during specialized activities, and report suspected child abuse and be those mandated reporters. Each site will have a Youth Camp Safety Standards manual. This manual is your encyclopedia for all things summer camp. Treasure it, study it, and familiarize yourself with it. All the information you need is tucked neatly inside that wonderful book. And as I like to say, when in doubt, look in the book. The book begins with a list of important contacts you may need for the summer. You will find the contact information for the department coordinator, your program access representative, and your health supervisor, also known as your area nurse. Next is a table of contacts. Pretty self-explanatory, but it's also good to know that it's there. Now for the fun stuff. I'm going to give you an overview of policy, procedures, forms, emergency plans, and behavior and health logs. Everything. The safety of our staff and participants is our #1 priority. From washing hands frequently to prevent the spread of germs to knowing the proper procedures when a participant becomes ill. Safety is key. So here are a few points to keep in mind. Each program has certified staff in both CPR and first aid. Parents or guardians will be notified should a child become injured or sick. If they are unavailable, staff will notify the individuals listed on the emergency contact on the participant profile form. A note of injury, illness, incident will be sent home to a parent or guardian each time first aid is given to a participant. According to state regulations, we are required by Maryland law to be mandated reporters if we suspect or have reason to believe there is an incident of neglect, sexual abuse, mental injury, or injurious treatment. There is an entire chapter on reporting suspected child abuse, as well as forms and reports. But let's look at a few of the most frequently used forms. First of all, it is the camp director's responsibility to ensure that all information is complete and accurate for both participants and staff. All staff and participants need a profile form and a health medication form if they have a medical condition. Parents also need to provide immunization records if they do not go to a Maryland public or private school. A camp director needs completed and signed versions of all the forms or else a participant cannot be admitted. All forms must be filed in your Youth Camp Safety Standards binder. Take a look. This is what the participant profile form and the day camp authorization forms look like. Currently, parents and guardians can access, complete, and print documents online and bring them on the first day. All you need to do is make sure that they are printed, signed, contains accurate information, and then file it in your binder. Parents need to provide the health and medication authorization form if a participant has a health issue such as asthma. Remember, look out for that signature from both the doctor and the parent. There are several cheat sheets that you will find within the book to help you keep track of important information. There's a forms tracking sheet where you can list the names of the participants for each session and check that all requirements are completed. This form can be found in the first chapter of the book. There's also the without immunization list. This is where you will list any participants and staff that do not have immunizations or have a medical condition. Creating these cheat sheets is great as a quick reference, but maintaining them for each session is important to access because that quick access could save a life. Creating and practicing emergency plans could also save a life. You must create an on-site emergency plan before camp begins. Post it at your site and also place it in your summer binder. This is what an on-site emergency plan looks like. Fill it out in its entirety And note that not all emergencies will happen the same way. Practice different scenarios. Practice them often, and sometimes make them unscheduled and unexpected. One last thing, be sure all staff have a copy of the staff phone list. Behavior and health logs will be provided to you by your site director. Behavior and health logs cannot be tampered with, as they can be used as evidence in the court of law. As such, you must retain the logs for 5 years. This is what a behavior log looks like. Fill out all information accurately in blue or black ink, and be sure to notify the site director and the participant's guardian. Health logs must also be filled out completely in blue or black ink. Only health or medical information is included in the log. Pages cannot be removed or added, and the log must be kept confidential from everyone except appropriate staff. You must record all injuries and illnesses that occur during program hours, and note any care actions provided by program staff. Lastly, ensure it is available for inspection by a supervisor, nurse, or state inspector. This is what a completed health log looks like. All unused or skipped boxes are to be crossed out. Chapter 1 is a great resource for how to identify and respond to some of the most common medical emergencies, such as asthma and anaphylactic shock. For any medical emergency, follow the corresponding emergency plan. Fill out the health log, complete injury, illness, and incident report form, as well as the Maryland Youth Camp incident report form, both of which will be discussed later, and report the incident to a supervisor. Additionally, if a child is prone to seizures, there's a special seizure action plan that can be completed with the participant's guardian before the start of a program. Camper supervision during routine activities. Here are the minimum requirements for staff to participant ratios by age group and number of campers. An adult is considered an individual who's 18 years old or 17 and graduated from high school. An assistant counselor is an individual who is at least 16 years old or may have completed 10th grade. Anyone younger than 16 who had not completed 10th grade may work or volunteer at the camp, but is not counted as part of the camper supervision. All staff and volunteers must complete a CPS online clearance to work with the participants during summer programs. In the first chapter of the Youth Camp Safety Standards Manual, you will find miscellaneous yet extremely important policy and procedures. You should be able to answer, what are building safety forms and where can I find them? What is the proper refrigerator temperature? How do we handle bloodborne pathogens? What are the hazardous materials and chemicals used on site, and where do I list them? What do I look for when checking the restroom facilities and completing the restroom condition log? What are the contents of the first aid kit? The answer to all of these questions is found in Chapter 1 of the manual. You will also find MNC PPC policies such as rules to play by, code of conduct, our bullying policy, the sunscreen policy with consent, restroom shower guidelines, communication devices policy for participants, and the technology policy for staff and volunteers. So let's discuss some of these. Code of conduct. MNC PPC is committed to providing a safe and positive environment for all participants. To ensure this, participants and parents or guardians are expected to immediately report any personal offenses of threatening situations to staff. All participants are expected to adhere to our code of conduct. Personal technology devices and social networks. You are responsible for how you use electronic devices. Do not use electronic devices unless approved by your supervisor or in an emergency. Anyone not adhering to this policy will be subject to disciplinary measures. Things to do. Keep the phone out of sight and on vibrate. Put away all electronic devices until after the workday. This way, you can be fully engaged with participants and even your colleagues. Participants should only use phones for emergencies only. Respect wishes of participants and colleagues and ask for approval to take pictures or videos. Use a personal cell phone for non-emergency use. Things not to do. Take pictures or videos of participant or colleagues with a personal cell phone. Share phone numbers, email addresses, or social media account with participants. Use Bluetooth devices, headphones, or earbuds. Post anything about MNC PPC, your colleagues or participants on social media. Discuss inappropriate conduct on social media, for example, alcohol, drugs, sexual behavior, fights, bullying. Post stories, pictures, videos while in MNC PPC uniform. Create a group page that reference an MNC PPC program or facility. Restroom shower guidelines. Staff must share the responsibility to ensure the safety and welfare of all participants. Remember the 3 L's. First L is lead. While maintaining privacy, staff must post and position themselves inside and outside the restroom doors and keep main restroom doors open. Staff should use restrooms separately from youth or at separate times. The second L is look. Be aware. The use of smartphones, cameras, mirrors, drones, etc. in places or situations where privacy is expected is prohibited. Staff must perform a face count both upon entering and leaving the restroom. The third L is listen. Staff must listen for inappropriate social activity that jeopardizes the safety of the participant. Staff must announce themselves upon entering. If any inappropriate incidents occur, staff must document inappropriate logs and report to the supervisor immediately. Never have one staff member with one participant where there cannot be observed by other staff. If participant needs assistance, 2 staff members must be present. Be sure to document on the notification to parent of injury, illness, incident form and health log for any direct staff and participant assistance, with the exception of therapeutic recreation program and program access. Restroom access and transgender workers and patrons policy. Transgender employees and patrons will be provided access to restrooms that correspond to their gender identity. A person who identifies themselves as male should be permitted to use the men's restroom, and a person who identifies themselves as female should be permitted to use the women's restroom. Individuals should determine the most appropriate and safest option for himself or herself. During the summer, you should expect and welcome a visit from one of the health supervisors. These are certified nurses who will visit sites to ensure we are in compliance with our goal of maintaining a healthy and safe environment for the participants and staff. They also want to ensure that we are staying in compliance with regulations set by the state. You remember those COMAR regulations I mentioned earlier? Well, the health supervisor will do a thorough visit during program hours to check your binder for the staff and participant profiles, check your fridge and freezer temperature logs, review your medications on site if applicable, and they will also review procedures with staff. Although this visit may come unscheduled, it should be welcomed. The health supervisors will assist with directing staff to organize their binders and are able to answer any questions. A full list of the Youth Camp Safety Standards site review is in Chapter 1, so you know what to expect when a health supervisor visits your site. Health supervisors are also available to provide training on the care plans and medical conditions such as seizures, or to instruct staff on how to identify and handle emergency medical situations such as anaphylactic shock. This concludes the Youth Camp Safety Standards overview. The one thing I would like to leave you with is, when in doubt, look in the book. Thanks, and have a great summer.